You've seen it 1,000 times. You make a strange noise. You say a word they don't quite recognize. You pick up something unfamiliar. And then, that tilt. It might be the most universally loved thing a dog does, but almost nobody knows why they actually do it. The internet will tell you it's cute. Scientists will tell you something far more interesting. Because the head tilt isn't just an adorable quirk, it's a window into how dogs listen, how they think, and how deeply they're paying attention to you. Let's get into it. The most common explanation is that dogs tilt their heads to hear better. Dogs can move each ear independently. They have around 18 separate muscles controlling ear movement compared to our 3. And by rotating their head, they adjust the position of their outer ear to better funnel sound toward the eardrum. This matters especially for dogs with floppy ears. Breeds like Basset Hounds and Cocker Spaniels actually have a harder time pinpointing where sounds are coming from because their ears partially cover the ear canal. A head tilt physically opens that up. So, yes, it's partly about hearing. But here's where it gets genuinely fascinating. If it were purely about sound, dogs would only tilt their heads when they couldn't locate a noise. But they don't. They tilt when you talk to them, when you ask them a question, which means something else is going on entirely. In 2013, researcher Stanley Coren, one of the world's leading experts in canine cognition, proposed something that nobody had really considered before. He suggested that dogs tilt their heads, at least in part, because their muzzle gets in the way. Think about it from your dog's perspective. When they look straight at you, their snout blocks part of their view, specifically the lower half of your face. And that matters enormously because dogs have learned that this part of the face, the mouth, the jaw, the lips, carries critical emotional information. By tilting their head, they move the muzzle out of that sight line. They get a clearer view of your mouth, of your expression. Coren actually tested this. He surveyed over 500 dog owners asking, how often does your dog tilt its head when spoken to, and what shape is your dog's muzzle? The results were striking. Dogs with larger, longer muzzles, like German Shepherds or Border Collies, tilted their heads significantly more often than flat-faced breeds like Pugs or Bulldogs, whose muzzles don't obstruct their view in the same way. It wasn't definitive proof, but it pointed at something profound. Your dog may be tilting their head to read your face better, to understand you more completely. They're not just listening to what you're saying, they're watching how you say it. Here's what makes this even more remarkable. A few years ago, researchers at a university in Hungary ran a study on dogs and language. Specifically, they wanted to know whether any dogs could actually learn and remember the names of objects, not just respond to tone of voice or routine, but genuinely associate a word with a specific thing. Most dogs, it turned out, couldn't do it at all. They'd retrieve whatever was nearest, or whatever smelled most interesting. The concept of a word meaning a specific object just didn't stick. But 7 dogs could, all Border Collies. And one of them, a dog named Whisky, could correctly identify and retrieve an astonishing 54 out of 59 toys he had been taught by name. The researchers were fascinated by Whisky and the other gifted dogs. And then they noticed something else, something they hadn't been looking for at all. Every single one of the gifted dogs tilted their heads when they heard a toy's name. Consistently, repeatedly, across dozens of trials over several months. The typical dogs, the ones who couldn't remember the names, tilted their heads just 2% of the time. The gifted dogs, 43%. The researchers concluded that the head tilt appears to reflect meaningful mental processing. It's associated with concentration, with effort, with the brain working harder to connect what's being heard to something it already knows. In other words, your dog doesn't tilt their head randomly. They tilt it when they're genuinely trying to understand something. And there's something else, something more emotional. Dogs, over thousands of years of living with humans, have become extraordinarily attuned to our emotional states. They study our faces and voices. Research has shown they preferentially look at the left side of a human face, the side we tend to show more emotion on, just as humans do when reading each other. The head tilt, many researchers believe, is part of that same system. It's an act of social attention, of empathic engagement. Your dog is leaning in, literally and figuratively, to understand you. So what does all this mean for you as a dog owner? First, frequency matters. If your dog regularly tilts their head when you speak to them, that's a sign of healthy engagement and cognitive attention. Second, a sudden increase or decrease in head tilting can be worth noting. A sudden stop may mean that your dog is experiencing hearing changes, pain around the neck or ears, or reduced cognitive engagement, all worth checking with your vet. And finally, you can use the head tilt as a real-time gauge of how well you're communicating with your dog. If they tilt when you give a command, they may be struggling to parse what you want. Try using shorter, clearer words, a more consistent tone. The tilt is your feedback signal. There's one more finding worth mentioning, and it came out of a 2024 study that used AI analysis of dog behavior to look at head tilts more carefully than any study before it. The researchers found something nobody had looked for before. There appear to be gender differences in how dogs tilt their heads. Male and female dogs don't just tilt with different frequencies. The direction of the tilt and what triggers it may differ too. The science is still early, but it suggests that the head tilt is even more layered and individual than we thought. And crucially, researchers found that each dog has a preferred direction. If your dog almost always tilts to the left or almost always to the right, that's not random. It's consistent. It may reflect how that individual dog's brain is lateralized, which hemisphere takes the lead when processing your voice. Pay attention next time. Notice which way your dog tilts. It's a tiny window into how their individual brain is wired. The head tilt started this conversation as something we all find irresistible, but nobody could explain. We hope it's ending as something richer. A reminder that the animal sitting with you right now is paying far more attention to you than you probably realize. If this gave you a new way of seeing your dog, share it with someone who needs to see it too. And if you want to go deeper into the science of what's happening inside your dog's mind, the emotions, the instincts, their intelligence, subscribe to The Dog Mind. See you in the next one.